You won't believe the nightmare my neighborhood HOA put me through. All over a little security camera. When the power-mad HOA president, Karen, decided to foreclose on my house for breaking her petty rules. I thought I was done for, until she messed with the wrong family. Will my secret weapon, my brother the judge, be able to save my home from Karen's clutches? Welcome to my channel. Please subscribe if you want more Karen and HOA stories. It was just a regular day in my quiet little neighborhood. Birds were chirping, sun was shining, and nosy old Karen from the HOA was probably off ruining someone's morning. You know the type. Always looking for something to complain about? Thinks she's the queen bee of the cul-de-sac. Well, little did I know I was about to become her next target. See, there had been a few break-ins lately on my street. Nothing major, just some missing packages and a busted car window here and there. But it was enough to make me want to beef up my security a bit. So I did what any responsible homeowner would do. I went out and bought myself a nice little security camera to put up on my front porch. It was one of those sleek modern ones that links right to your phone. Crystal clear HD, night vision, the works. I figured it would give me some extra peace of mind, you know? Maybe even catch the punk who'd been swiping my Amazon deliveries. I spent all Saturday afternoon installing that thing. Drilled the holes, ran the wires, synced it up to my Wi-Fi. By the time I was done, it was like something straight out of a spy movie. I couldn't wait to try it out. But apparently, not everyone shared my enthusiasm for home security. No sooner had I kicked back in my recliner to admire my handiwork, when I heard a sharp rap at the door. Uh-oh, I knew that knock. That was the sound of trouble in a pantsuit. Sure enough, there was Karen, standing on my welcome mat with a scowl that could curdle milk. She had a stack of papers clutched in her bony hand, and a glint of petty revenge in her eyes. "What's this?" she barked, jabbing a finger at my shiny new camera. "You know exterior modifications have to be approved by the board." I tried to explain that it was just a little security measure, nothing crazy, but she wasn't having it. Karen was on a mission, and that mission was to make my life a living hell. She shoved the papers into my chest, her voice rising with each word. "You have 24 hours to remove that eyesore and submit the proper forms, or you'll be in violation of the bylaws." I couldn't believe it. Violation? For trying to protect my own property? I knew Karen had a reputation for being a stickler, but this was nuts. I took a deep breath, trying to keep my cool. "Karen, be reasonable. It's just a camera. It's not hurting anyone. Can't we just talk about this like adults?" But she was already storming off, her sensible heels clacking against the pavement. 24 hours, she called over her shoulder. Or else what, I wondered. What could she possibly do? Sick her yappy little purse dog on me. I'd dealt with difficult people before. I figured if I just laid low and rode out Hurricane Karen, she'd find someone else to harass soon enough. Oh, how wrong I was. Turns out that camera was just the beginning. See, Karen had been waiting for an opportunity to flex her HOA muscles, and I'd given her the perfect excuse. She was about to make my life a waking nightmare. The next day, I found a big red violation notice taped to my door. It said I owed the HOA $500 for unapproved equipment on my property. $500? For a little bitty camera? What was this, the Ritz-Carlton? I marched over to Karen's house, ready to give her a piece of my mind. But she just smiled at me through the screen door, cool as a cucumber. "Pay the fine and take down the camera, or we'll be forced to take further action," she said sweetly. Further action? What did that even mean? I was starting to feel like I'd wandered into an episode of The Twilight Zone. Little did I know, I was about to find out just how far Karen and her cronies were willing to go to bring me to heel. And it was going to take more than a security camera to save me from the HOA reign of terror that was about to be unleashed. But hey, at least I had my brother in my corner. He's a hotshot judge, you see. Karen probably thought I was just some pushover she could bully into submission. She had no idea the legal nightmare she was about to unleash by messing with my family. Unfortunately for me, my brother was about to get dragged into the HOA war zone in ways I never could have imagined. And Karen? Well, let's just say she was just getting warmed up. I decided I wasn't going to let Karen push me around anymore. I did my homework and read every word of the HOA rules. Nowhere did it say I couldn't have a little camera to protect my stuff. I was going to appeal their dumb decision at the next meeting and make them see reason. When I showed up at the clubhouse, I had all my facts straight. I had the bylaws, the property maps, everything. I was cool as a cucumber. But when I walked in, I could tell something was up. Karen and her minions were whispering and smirking like they had a secret. The meeting started, and I raised my hand to speak. But before I could even open my mouth, Karen cut me off. "The board has made our decision," she said with a nasty grin. "Your camera violates our community standards. It has to go, end of story." I tried to argue my case, but she wouldn't let me get a word in. "You agreed to follow our rules when you moved in," she snapped. "If you don't like it, you're free to leave. Her lackeys snickered like it was the funniest thing they'd ever heard. I could feel my blood pressure rising, but I stayed calm. The rules don't say anything about cameras, I pointed out. You're just making this up as you go along. Karen's face turned beet red. She glared at me like I was a bug she wanted to squash. I don't care what you think, she hissed. I'm in charge here and what I say goes. Got it? I couldn't believe it. Who did this lady think she was? The queen of the cul-de-sac. I knew I had to do something, but I didn't want to sink to her level. I took a deep breath and tried one more time. Listen, Karen, I said as nicely as I could. I'm just trying to keep my family safe. Isn't that what we all want? Can't we work something out? For a second I thought I saw a flicker of doubt in her eyes. Maybe there was a human being in there after all. But then her face hardened into a mask of rage. If you won't follow the rules, you can find somewhere else to live, she yelled, slamming her fist on the table so hard her coffee cup fell over. The room went dead silent. Even her flying monkeys looked shocked. I sat there stunned, my jaw on the floor. Did she really just threaten to kick me out of my own house? Over a little camera? I couldn't wrap my head around it. I wanted to scream back at her, but I knew it wouldn't do any good. She had the power and she knew it. If I fought her head on, she'd just make my life more miserable. I had to be smart about this. I gathered up my papers and walked out of there with my head held high. I could feel Karen's eyes burning holes in my back, but I didn't give her the satisfaction of turning around. She wanted a war? Fine, but I was going to win it my way. The first thing I did was start keeping a record of everything. Karen and her goon squad did. Every nasty email, every snide comment, every dirty look. I wrote it all down. I also started talking to my neighbors, the ones who were too afraid to stand up to Karen. Turns out, I wasn't the only one she'd bullied. People had all kinds of stories about the crazy stuff she'd pulled. Fining people for breathing too loud, measuring grass with a ruler, even calling the cops on kids selling lemonade. It was nuts. The more I heard, the more I knew I had to do something. This wasn't just about me anymore. Karen was terrorizing the whole neighborhood, and nobody was stopping her. I started a secret Facebook group for HOA members, who were sick of Karen's reign of terror. We compared notes and gathered evidence. We even got a few whistleblowers from her inner circle to spill the beans on her. Shady deals. It was like something out of a spy movie. As I was building my case against Karen, strange things started happening. I'd come home and find my camera turned around, facing the wall. There were scratches on my car that looked like key marks. One time, I swear I saw Karen peeking in my windows when I was at work. She was trying to rattle me, to make me back down, but all it did was make me more determined. I installed more cameras, hidden ones this time. I got a big dog from the shelter and trained it as a guard dog, and I kept digging into Karen's dirty laundry. I knew I was getting close when I got an anonymous letter in the mail, telling me to mind my own business or else. It was typed, but I recognized the fancy stationery. It was from Karen's house. Part of me was scared, I'm not gonna lie. Who knew how far she would go to protect her little fiefdom? But I knew I was doing the right thing. I had the truth on my side, and that was more powerful than all of Karen's threats. I kept at it, even as Karen's attacks got nastier. Someone spray-painted snitch on my fence. My trash cans kept getting knocked over. And then came the day that made my blood run cold. I was at the grocery store when I got a frantic call from my neighbor. "Come quick," he said. "Karen's at your house with a moving truck. She's throwing all your stuff on the lawn." My heart dropped into my stomach. That witch had finally done it. She was really trying to kick me out. I dropped my basket and raced home, praying I wasn't too late. When I screeched into the driveway, I couldn't believe my eyes. All my belongings were scattered across the yard like a tornado hit. And there was Karen, directing her minions like a demented orchestra conductor. I jumped out of the car, ready to unleash holy hell. But just as I opened my mouth to scream, I felt a hand on my shoulder. "Don't worry, bro," said a familiar voice. "I've got this." I turned around and broke into a huge grin. It was my brother Eric, in a sharp suit and tie, and he had a paper in his hand and a glint in his eye that said, "Playtime was over." For the first time since this whole nightmare began, I felt a glimmer of hope. Maybe, just maybe, I had a fighting chance against Karen after all. When I got the foreclosure papers, my heart dropped into my stomach. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Karen and the HOA were really trying to take my house away, and all because of a little security camera? It didn't make any sense. I read the notice over and over again, hoping it was just a bad dream. But there it was in black and white. I had 30 days to vacate the premises, or they'd kick me to the curb. My head was spinning. How could they do this? I hadn't done anything wrong. I called the HOA management company, hoping there had been some kind of mistake. But the lady on the phone just gave me the runaround. "I'm sorry, but the board's decision is final," she said in a bored voice. "You'll have to take it up with them." "But this is crazy," I argued. "They can't just steal my house over a camera." The lady sighed. Well, the board president was quite insistent. A Miss Karen, I believe? She said you've repeatedly violated the rules and something had to be done. I slammed the phone down in frustration. Of course it was Karen. That power-hungry pest had been on my case since the day I moved in. Always nosing around, looking for things to complain about. And now she was trying to destroy my life. Just to flex her HOA muscle. I paced around the house, my mind racing. I couldn't afford a lawyer, and I had nowhere else to go. What was I supposed to do, live on the street? All because some petty tyrant didn't like my gutters or my mailbox color? And then it hit me. My brother Eric. He was a county judge now, but he used to practice real estate law. If anyone could make sense of this mess, it was him. I hated to drag him into my drama, but I was desperate. I called Eric and spilled the whole story. I could hear the frown in his voice as I described Karen's vindictive crusade against me. "Don't worry," he said when I finished. "This doesn't sound right at all. No HOA can just foreclose willy-nilly like that. I'll take a look at the paperwork and sort this out. No one's taking your house on my watch." I breathed a huge sigh of relief. Eric was on the case. Surely Karen's evil scheme wouldn't stand up to a judge's scrutiny, right? For the first time in days, I felt a flicker of hope. Over the next week, Eric pored over the HOA bylaws and foreclosure notice with a fine-toothed comb. He highlighted things and made a bunch of phone calls, scribbling notes as he went. I tried to stay patient, but my nerves were shot. Every time I saw Karen smirking at me from her driveway, my blood pressure spiked. Finally, Eric called me with an update. "I've got good news and bad news," he said seriously. My heart clenched. "What now?" "The bad news is, this foreclosure is a hot mess. The HOA didn't file half the right paperwork, and their reasoning is flimsy at best. I don't think it would hold up in court." "That's terrible!" I cried. "How is that not good news?" Eric sighed. "Because it means they're either grossly incompetent, or they didn't expect you to fight back. And if it's the latter, that means there's more going on here than just a power trip. I did some digging on this Karen lady, and she's got a sketchy history with this HOA. Seems like there's a new problem resident every year that she tries to force out." My blood ran cold. What had I stumbled into? Was Karen running some kind of real estate scam, using the HOA as her personal fiefdom? "So what do we do?" I asked, my mouth dry. "We fight fire with fire," Eric declared. "First, we're going to file an injunction to stop the foreclosure. Then we'll hit them with a lawsuit for harassment, abuse of power, and whatever else I can throw at them. We'll expose Karen for the fraud she is, and make sure she never bullies another homeowner again." I felt a thrill of excitement mixed with fear. Taking on Karen and her cronies sounded righteous. But what if it backfired? What if they came after me even harder? Eric must have sensed my hesitation. "Look, I know it's scary to stand up to a bully, especially one with an army of lawyers and a sociopath's determination. But we can't let her get away with this. You have rights, and she's trampling all over them. What she's doing is wrong. It's up to us to make it right." I took a deep breath and squared my shoulders. Eric was right. I couldn't just roll over and let Karen win. Not when she was messing with my home, my family, my whole life. It was time to take the fight to her. "Okay," I said, my voice steady with resolve. "Let's do this. It's time to give Karen a taste of her own medicine." "This is war!" Little did I know just how far that war would go, because Karen and her goons were just getting started. And no one, not me, not Eric, not the whole dang justice system, knew just how low she was willing to sink. But there was no turning back now. The battle lines were drawn, and one way or another, there would be a reckoning. In this quiet little suburb, a storm was brewing, and Karen was about to learn a hard lesson. You can mess with a lot of things, but don't mess with someone's home. I woke up to my phone buzzing like crazy. Messages from neighbors poured in about Karen showing up at their doors at 7 a.m., trying to get them to sign some paper against me. I couldn't believe she was dragging others into this mess. My heart sank when I opened my front door. Red spray paint covered my private property signs. The security camera caught Karen doing it last night, wearing all black like some cartoon burglar. I had to laugh a little. She wasn't exactly subtle. I called Officer Martinez right away. He was getting tired of Karen's tricks, too. While waiting for him, I checked my mailbox and found a thick envelope from the city archives. Inside were maps from the 1800s, showing my land's boundaries, exactly where I said they were. The truth was literally in black and white. I heard Karen before I saw her, screaming at Officer Martinez, who had just pulled up. She was waving around some papers, her face red as a tomato. "These signatures prove everyone wants her gone," she yelled. But then something amazing happened. Mrs. Chen from next door came outside, then Mr. Rodriguez, then the Patel family. They all started telling Officer Martinez how Karen had lied to get their signatures. She'd told them I was running an illegal business and letting dangerous people onto the street. "That's not what you said when you came to my house," Mrs. Chen said firmly. You told me she was building a parking lot. Which is it, Karen? Karen's face went from red to white real quick. She tried to grab the papers back, but Officer Martinez already had them. I could see her hands shaking. That's when my phone buzzed again. This time it was an email from the local news station. Someone had sent them videos of Karen's behavior over the past few weeks. They wanted to do a story about neighborhood disputes and property rights. I smiled, remembering how I'd helped Mrs. Chen set up her new security cameras last month. Karen must have seen my smile because she stomped over, pointing her finger in my face. You think you're so clever? I have friends at City Hall. They'll make your life impossible. I stayed calm and pulled out the old maps. Actually, Karen, I have something you might want to see. These maps from the 1800s show exactly where our property lines are. The city clerk found them yesterday. Want to take a look? She wouldn't even glance at them. Instead, she pulled out her phone and started calling someone, pacing back and forth on my lawn. I heard her saying something about emergency zoning violations. Officer Martinez shook his head and walked over to me. I've seen enough. We're filing charges for vandalism and harassment. She crossed a line with the spray paint and lying to get signatures. I felt relieved but also kind of sad. This whole thing could have been avoided if Karen had just talked to me like a normal person. Now she was going to face real consequences. The news van pulled up just as Karen was having what looked like a meltdown on my lawn. She was ripping up the papers with the signatures, screaming that everyone was against her. Mrs. Chen walked over and put her hand on my shoulder. We've got your back, she said quietly. Karen's been bullying people on this street for years. It's time someone stood up to her. I watched as Officer Martinez led Karen to his car. She was still yelling, but now she was crying too. The reporter and camera crew captured everything. My phone buzzed one more time. It was a message from the city clerk. Found more documents. Karen's fence is actually 2 feet onto city property. Might want to let her know she needs to move it. I decided to save that information for another day. Right now, I just wanted to clean up the spray paint and thank my neighbors for their support. As I looked around at everyone gathered on my lawn, I realized something important. Standing up for what's right isn't always easy, but it's always worth it.